taking on the defender and winning. Osborne, 1-0.
The goal that won the FA Cup for Ipswich Town 10 years ago and set East Anglia alight. And with us today, the man who led Ipswich to that honour, now England's manager Bobby Robson, just back from Poland, sorting out our World Cup details. More about that later, but those were heady days, Bob, weren't they?
Well, they were, and they were very happy days because naturally they were successful, but a lot of class players, and they were days never to be forgotten.
Well, maybe they're just around the corner again. We shall see. Obviously, we're here to see the third-round FA Cup tie between Ipswich Town and Manchester United. And in some ways, it's the perfect cup tie, partly because Ipswich are very strong at home in the second division and have nothing to lose, and partly because Manchester United have been seen to be sometimes still vulnerable as Alex Ferguson tries to stiffen the backbone of his multi-talented group of players. Well, here's the Ipswich team. What do you think about those, Bob?
Yes, well, they've done very well at home this season, and they will be difficult to beat, and certainly here today they will be. They're a most workmanlike side, there isn't any question about that. The side is built on that, I think.
Got the homegrown players.
Indeed. John Duncan has bought one or two, but a lot of home-produced players. In particular, I like Ian Cranston, who's a solid centre-half, very young. He's been here a number of years, but he's played in the first division, and he can stand up to that sort of pressure. Exceptionally quick. Will bite into the tackle when the ball is laid up to the centre forward. Exceptionally strong in the air too, if I may say that. And he will be a good situation. It'll be a good situation rather between him and maybe Whiteside. I think he'll set his sights on Whiteside this afternoon.
That will be interesting. Now, what about up front in that sense?
Well, they need to score goals to win the match. I mean, Cranston will help to save the game. David Lowe, I like particularly. John Duncan bought him from Wigan. He's got a bit of pace, which is eye-catching, and if he gets a yard ahead of himself, you know, in front of the defender, they won't catch him. And the lovely thing about him, too, is that he seems to be able to stay cool. He gets in those goal-scoring positions, he's got a nice, cool brain, and he seems as though he can slot it home. So, if he gets half a chance today, I think he'll chalk.
He might be the match winner and the man of the match. Well, let's have a look at the Manchester United team now. And we think probably that Duxbury is going to play in the left-back position there. He's in at number 3. And probably Gibson move left-side midfield to push Whiteside up front. But the two players that interest me show a little bit of the character of Alex Ferguson, I think, particularly Chris Turner, the goalkeeper. He's got his chance again because, first of all, Alex gave Gary Walsh, a young player, a chance. I mean, most fans think all you do these days is go out and spend £1 million and buy the best goalkeeper in England. But Alex Ferguson, I think, believes in other things. But when Gary Walsh got concussed in Bermuda, this lad got his chance again. And he's been in superlative form. And last week, I think he won in the match against Watford. Now, up front shows that Alex not frightened to spend money when he knows he's right. And I must say, when I first saw this lad, and you saw him too, play against England at Hampden last year for Scotland, I thought he made a mistake. He didn't seem to get in the game at all, but my goodness, how wrong I was. He loves the responsibility of scoring goals. He likes to get in front of goal and make the goalkeeper look silly. Some strikers just are a little bit fragile when it comes to taking that responsibility. Not him, and he will be the first player since George Best to get over 20 goals for Manchester United in the league. That's my prediction. Now, there's some of the cast, Bob. What about the result?
Well, my heart, obviously, with respect to the Manchester United supporters, says Ipswich. My head says Manchester United. My tie, Jim, is red and blue, and it says a draw. So I think that could be the outcome of the day.
Yeah. A draw, and of course that financially wouldn't be so bad for Ipswich because they would then
Not at all, but they won't sit on anything here today. They know their best chance of winning this match is here today at Portman Road, you know. They've got a good crowd. It's recaptured old times here today. Marvellous atmosphere. And the crowd are ready to get behind the team. The players know that. John Duncan will have stirred the team up. Charlie Woods, the coach here, who's been here for many years, has seen days like this. And together they'll be driving that Ipswich team on.
I can feel you're still doing it
well,
now.
I'm trying to.
The excitement is still there.
I must try and remain unbiased.
Remain unbiased. We'll enjoy the match, and I hope everybody else does. First of all, just let me tell you that the last time of listening, anyway, Port Vale and Macclesfield were 0-0. That's very near half-time in that third-round FA Cup tie. Well, now it's time to join Trevor Brooking, playing in a different position this week. He's alongside match commentator John Motson.
Yes, Jimmy, a seat I've sat in many times here at Portman Road, and I got the impression there Bobby Robson really thrilled to see the stands and terraces swelling again at the club that he did so much to build. You've mentioned the FA Cup success here 10 years ago, but what's also chronicled is that Ipswich were in the top 6 in Division 1 and in Europe, let it be said, 9 years out of 10. And what other club did so well on such modest resources in Bobby Robson's time here? These were great days, and another great day perhaps in prospect. Brian Robson of Manchester United, Ian Atkins, the captain of Ipswich Town. In those days that I was talking about, teams of the majesty of Manchester United seem to be coming down to Suffolk every other week. And I have to say, Trevor Brooking, who's with me today, as the teams line up, the crowd is humming with the slightly breathless expectancy that only the FA Cup can really engender.
That's right, great atmosphere, and I think everyone looks back to yesterday when we expect 1 or 2 upsets, and there haven't been any up to now, and I think the Ipswich folk are hoping that perhaps they're going to whip this one this afternoon. Certainly, it's all set up for a terrific cup tie.
The referee is Brian Stevens from Stonehouse. His linesman, one of them's called Jimmy Hill, would you believe? He's got the red flag. Peter Brennan has the yellow, and we're all set for the FA Cup third round live, coming to you from Suffolk. Manchester United, who've got their usual huge volume of travelling support, playing from right to left. Bruce with the ball forward, and Frank Yallop is number 2 for Ipswich Town. And the goalkeeper, John Hallworth, was actually training as a schoolboy with Manchester United some years ago, comes from Stockport, left-footed. Anderson with the header. Number 11 was Gibson. Now it's number 11 for Ipswich, Romeo Zondervan, the Dutchman. That's Kevin Moran. Gibson again. Number 10 is Jason Dazelle, skillful in the midfield, now low. Yallop. The target for the high balls will be Davray when it gets up front. There's an offside flag against Dazelle. But Jason Dazelle and the other midfield players, as John Duncan was telling me only that yesterday, they're trying to play through the midfield today, Ipswich. They don't want to be reduced to just humping the ball forward. They really want to get it down and see if they can take United on. Cranston with McClare. Whiteside with Harvey. And back by young Tony Humes, only 21, the Ipswich centre-half. Yallop. That's the ball for Davray. Question of whether he can beat Moore, and he did then. Bruce was covering. Good challenge there by Atkins. This is Mark Brennan, number 8. Atkins again. The pitch is on the heavy side, Trevor, isn't it?
Yeah, just down the middle. I think, considering all the rain that we've had the last week, though, John, it's not too bad at all. And I think probably both sides would like to get it out in the wings, but it's cutting up a little bit, but not too bad.
Gordon Strachan on the wing for Manchester United, and turned back by Humes. That was Davray looking for low. Duxbury. Whiteside. Brennan. Davray. Atkins. Bruce. Ipswich do have an almost unparalleled record in the third round of the FA Cup in recent years. Only once in the last 17 seasons have they gone out at this stage. And they also have, as Jimmy Hill referred to, a very good home record of late. 2 defeats here in the last 23 League and Cup games. Gibson in the penalty area for Manchester United. So there are 1 or 2 omens on the side of the second division club here, but you have to do it on the pitch. Duxbury. Remy Moses back in the side and bundled over by Ian Atkins. That could be quite a collision in midfield between 2 very competitive players. Moran for United. Whiteside. Oof. Whiteside and Humes tangling. Here's Colin Gibson. Duxbury. Header out was by Dazelle. Moran. Now Viv Anderson, and Mark Brennan, number 8, will play on the left side today. And Graham Harvey, the left back, will link with him whenever he can. Good tackle by Anderson. Now the England captain. Gibson, as Jimmy said, is playing on the left side of midfield, and Duxbury's at left back. Wearing number 3. Brian McClare coming deep. Two new stands were built here in Bobby Robson's time, but it's still a very intimate ground where people are close to their football. You can see on the far side the younger supporters in that section, and on the Portman Terrace there, wearing a few hats that have been given away to the crowd today. It's all a very festive occasion. This is Duxbury, but in the way, Dazelle. Good passer of the ball is Dazelle. This is Zondervan, who's quite neat on the right. And this is David Lowe, the ball's out. Tradition of Dutch players at Portman Road. Bobby Robson looks back with some delight to the days of Muren and Tyson, and with 5 minutes gone and no score, you just saw Zondervan on the Ipswich right. He too came from Holland. Manchester United have been here since Friday lunchtime. Interesting how the so-called favourites, very careful with their cup preparations when there's a shock in the offing. Here's Gibson, tucked inside to Norman Whiteside, number 10. It's Humes at his back, that's Brian Robson. This is Humes. Came off Robson. Whiteside. McClare. Just a bit of hesitation, but Brennan did well to recover. Strachan, even better to get back and challenge. And now Harvey. Harvey, the left back there, won a championship medal with Derby County last season in the 2nd division. He's a very left-sided player and likes to link with the attack. He's found Lowe. This is Atkins. Hoisted wide, but that's Turner's. Ian Atkins, an experienced player, the most experienced, Trevor, really, in the Ipswich lineup.
Yes, I played against him a few times, but still probably shows you how old he is now, John. But he's certainly, probably in those days, I remember him really as a back 4 player. I think it's been moved into the midfield the last few weeks because Jason Dazelle and Mark Brennan, who's playing wide on the left today, had been the central midfielders, but they lack that little bit of determination, perhaps, and I think Ian's been put in there just to add a bit of steel to midfield.
That's exactly right. In fact, he's 31 next Saturday, which doesn't embarrass you quite so much, Trevor. Certainly been around, though, Sunderland and Everton. He was part of those early Shrewsbury days as well, when they were having some good times in the Cup. That's Dazelle. This is Yallo. Now, is he offside? Well, apparently not. It's Mark Brennan. Davray coming towards the near post. And Lowe! Good save. And the flag stayed down. Jimmy Hill, and I mean the linesman Jimmy Hill, with the red flag, did not signal an offside, and Brennan was away and clear. Davray and Lowe sprinted into the forward positions. Lowe didn't get the strike he wanted. It came off his knee, and Turner saved.
I think you'll find, in fact, it was Kevin Moran and Viv Anderson who actually played Mark Brennan from the other side of the pitch, and certainly the linesman, I think, was right on that particular occasion, and they let it flow very well. In fact, it ended up in Chris Turner's hand more by luck than judgment off David Lowe's kneecap.
It's extraordinary how many of the big clubs do take a chance on the offside game, and as they admit, from time to time you're going to get caught, and if you get punished, well, then no one feels sorry for you. Free kick to Manchester United, to be taken by Duxbury. Not a particularly good one, that's Dazelle. Lowe back to Brennan. Got away from Remy Moses and then crowded out. That's Gordon Strachan on the far side. Some suggestion he might have been left out today, but in the end Alec Ferguson decided to keep him in and leave out the other lightweight winger Jesper Olsen, who's on the bench. This is McClare. Duxbury. Gibson. He got it the second time, that's Cranston. This is Zondervan. Lowe. And now Yallop, hoisting it forward. Brennan's made the run. And Robson on hand to sort things out for the First Division side, to Strachan. Established internationals in this Manchester United side, but several under-21 caps in the Ipswich team, so reputations at stake here today, one or two of which could be enhanced in front of the England manager. And it's a match which has attracted enormous interest. Quite a few other top managers and coaches here today to watch, and several old Ipswich players I noticed in the crowd. John Walker, they've just re-signed from Liverpool, is here. I saw Alan Brazil before the match. That was on by McClare and forward by Humes. Number 7, Lowe, got that ball down well. Harvey, offside this time though, Atkins.
Interesting, on 2 or 3 occasions when the ball's gone up to the front lads in the air, Mitch Davray in particular has won the balls in the air against Moran and Bruce. It'd be interesting if they can get to the byline, whether he will win them in the penalty box.
Well, I saw him score here against Millwall a week ago yesterday, Mitch Davray. In fact, he's had a little run of scoring form recently. South African by birth. Here's Yallop. And now Dazelle. Cranston. Lofted forward. There's Davray. Nice touch. This is Ian Atkins with the shot. Atkins joining the attack. Duxbury. Now this is Anderson to Strachan. Remy Moses has made a run into the attack now, making it 4 up for Manchester United. Here's Gibson. And Duxbury sold a little bit short, but he got a foot in. Gibson again. Strachan. And Harvey combining nicely with Brennan here. And Steve Bruce clattering into the back of David Lowe. They know all about Bruce here at Portman Road because he used to play for Ipswich's neighbours and rivals Norwich. Indeed, once scored the goal that sent Norwich to Wembley at Ipswich's expense in the League Cup. So, a chance then perhaps now for Davray, number 9, to feed on a free kick from Graham Harvey. And he found low, and offside. It wouldn't have counted. Turner wasn't to know that. He made a very good save from the oncoming Tony Humes, but in actual fact, if you look at this again, you'll see an offside. Davray wins it, knocks it into low, and the flag was up for offside on the first header. Zondervan. Duxbury. Gazelle. Moran. Anderson. Oh, now Harvey, it's 2 against 1 on the left-hand side, and there's 2 in the middle. Brennan has got to try and get the ball in, and Anderson was the man who stopped him. Good defending. And here's McClare. Strachan. Oh, good running by McClare again, and important challenge. Tony Humes, vital. 21-year-old at the back there, prevented a certain goal-scoring opportunity. That's offside. Tony Humes, who comes from Blythe in the northeast, has actually played in 5 different positions this season, but today he's number 5, and he's right at the heart of the defence. A quarter of an hour gone. Ipswich Town 0, Manchester United 0 in the FA Cup 3rd round. That was Yallop. And Whiteside wasn't holding back. And does he ever? I think you could read the lips there. This is a free kick to Ipswich.
I think he's just wishing him Happy New Year, actually, John.
Well, let's see what Cranston can do as he hangs at the back here with the headband to try and win it against Anderson. This is Harvey. Little short, Strachan. And he got caught. Mark Brennan, free kick. The average age of this Ipswich team only around 24. So they're still learning, but certainly they've settled down well enough against one of the most famous clubs in the land. Low. Here's Zondervan. Dazelle. Quite nicely worked between Dazelle and Lowe. This is Davray. Wasn't a bad turn, but he scuffed the shot on a pitch that's already just in places after all the rain, starting to cut up a little bit. There were a few divots, and Davray seemed to get stuck there as he pulled his foot back. Play on, says the referee. Duxbury. And Humes hesitated, McClare got in, and Whiteside has found a good position in the penalty area. So has Gibson. And Ipswich had to hurry back there. McClare. Robson's in the area as well now, which is always ominous for the opposition. And Remy Moses is being spoken to by referee Brian Stevens. There was a clash in midfield a minute or two ago in which Moses was involved, and I think something was said afterwards. Whiteside is jostling here for position with Humes, and I think he got the other side.
Well, that was probably Norman Whiteside at his best there in those tight situations. He's got such strength, hasn't he? Well, he's only 22, he seems to have been around 10 years, but he is so strong, and he just rode the tackle and just had to try to lunge at it, and it floated over the crossbar. But 80 minutes gone, and that's the first real occasion that they've threatened. So great credit to the home side, really, because they had put a lot of pressure on United.
They're chanting 6-0 at the right-hand end of the ground. A reminder that Manchester United once lost here by that score in Ipswich's heyday in about 1980. An extraordinary match because Ipswich also managed to miss 2 penalties. Yallop. Dazelle. Now they have got players forward here. If Yallop can find a way through, or maybe Dazelle can. No. Now Yallop offside. A lot of pushing up by this Manchester United defence in the opening 20 minutes, Trevor.
Well, we've seen it break down once where Mark Brennan broke on the right, and it is a dangerous game, particularly away from home, and they push up so flat that you feel if they can just time the run from midfield, which Ipswich are doing, Jason Dazelle or Mark Brennan or Ian Atkins, they could get the breakthrough.
That was Gibson and Yallop. Throw will go Ipswich's way. So 20 minutes gone at Portman Road, second division Ipswich, if anything having slightly the better of the early play against Manchester United, but not much to speak of in the way of clean scoring chances yet. Gibson, Dazelle, blocked by Robson. That was hoisted forward by Yallop. Here's Davray. Offside. Here's Humes. Oh, a header by Moses. And now Brian Robson. And Strachan up against Brennan. That's going to be quite significant, I think, who wins that. This is McClare. There are quite a few interesting personal battles the way the teams have lined up in this match. And on that far side, you'll see the two number 8s quite close together at times, Strachan and Brennan. Lowe going over to help. Here's Duxbury. Brian Robson's made a run from midfield. Gibson. Tucked into Whiteside. Gibson again. And Humes quick to shut the door there in United's faces. Bruce. The header was by Humes, picked up by McClare. This is Strachan. Whiteside is calling. Robson's in there too. It's too long for everybody.
Well, there's Gordon, but it was a bad cross. He knows that, as he's signalling that somebody should have tried and got on the end of that. Really, it's important for United for him to play well, because having left Jesper Olsen out, it's something Alex Ferguson does do now away from home, rather than play both of them. It's important for him to give them the width and get to the byline and get good quality crosses in.
Oh, well played by Harvey and Lowe. Well played too by Turner. How quickly he read that. But it isn't quite over. That's Atkins forward. Chris Turner, very alert there, sprinting out to deal with the danger. McClare, Harvey. And Davray fighting for it again. Midfield players backing up. Dazelle. Yallop. Davray. Robson back defending. Harvey. Brennan. Yallop. This is Viv Anderson. Moses, Robson. Offside, Strachan. Brian Robson, 31 years old tomorrow, Trevor, but often perhaps we take it for granted. Still a great penalty area to penalty area player, as we've seen him at both ends already.
Yes, again, with Remy Moses being alongside in midfield today, that will give him the opportunity, hopefully, to get forward and make those surging runs into the penalty area, where United and England, of course, have seen him score some great goals. Today, at the moment, he's been, I think, mainly conscious, keeping an eye on Jason Dezelle, and hasn't had the opportunity to perhaps support the front lads.
Probably having one of his best injury-free runs, I would think, too, the England captain. This is Yallop for Ipswich. And Duxbury was a bit impetuous there, although United have got the throw. Charlie Woods, the Ipswich coach, and their plan was to try and get Yallop and Zondervan linking down this side, and just for a minute it looked as if they might have got behind the fullback, but there was cover. Dezelle to Zondervan. Yallop again, in early. Now, can Davray win this? Well, Dezelle is there, and Anderson a very good clearance facing his own goal. In fact, the whistle had already gone for a push in there, I suspect, by Davray. Using his body, I think, to turn.
Quite right, he backed into Kevin Moran, but there's no doubt when it's hanging up there, they don't look at ease. And of course, Chris Turner, you know, is not a tall keeper and tend to be a reaction saver rather than come out and take crosses, and he leaves that to Kevin Moran and Stevie Bruce. Here we are, you see him on his line, and he definitely backs into Moran there, and the right decision again by the ref.
White side for United. Now there's Robson again in an attacking position. Anderson. Moses. Strachan. Onside. Overran it, did he know? Yes, he did. It's out. It's a goal kick. Just the point you were making, actually, about trying to get behind the defence and get the crosses in.
Yeah, again, he'd be disappointed there because he did get blindside, as you can see. The ball, I think that might have initially been for Viv Anderson. It carries further. There's got, and that extra touch there just took it over the byline, and those little legs couldn't stretch far enough.
If you have joined the match late, there's no score, but it's been quite a quick, crisp cup tie so far, with Ipswich more than holding their own, the second division side. Robson for Manchester United, and now Yallop. Harvey. Davray. Backing up was Atkins. And Dezelle. Oh, and Atkins, they had a man breaking clear, and he was onside. Ian Atkins was the player who made the run from midfield. Oof. There's something going on between Moses and Atkins. It's simmered for a couple of minutes, and Brian Stevens, the referee, has decided that the book is going to come out, and it's Atkins who will be booked. He definitely tapped Moses' ankle on that last occasion, although I think, really, it started a few minutes earlier, Trevor.
Yes, I don't think it was particularly for that tackle. I think it was the fact it was a series of tackles. He'd warned him before, and he thought, enough is enough. I think you've got to go in the book.
So the Ipswich captain is cautioned, and we have a free kick to Manchester United to be taken by Robson, and I see Viv Anderson has gone forward this time, as well as Kevin Moran. And Moran, oh, an own goal! Did that go in off Davray? I think that went in off Mitch Davray. Manchester United have taken the lead after 29 minutes, and it looked to me as though number 9 Davray put the ball in his own net, Trevor Brooking.
Yes, well, I said he was going to be dangerous in the penalty area, but not at that end. And there you see it come off, and he's just stuck out a left leg almost as a reaction, and unfortunately he's come off the toe and dribbled into the net, and the goalkeeper really, John Horworth, no chance.
Well, what an expensive minute that was for Ipswich Town. The captain was cautioned for tackling Moses when the ball was nowhere in sight, actually, and how badly he was punished from the resulting free kick. The First Division side have taken the lead from Ipswich's point of view in the most unfortunate circumstances, but there again they packed the penalty area and the ball broke Manchester United's way. They had players up and Ipswich were forced to pull people back, and one of them was Davray. Header through and away by, well, not really by Yallop, it should have been. And they're in trouble, McClare. Cranston got lost there. This is Robson. Free kick on the edge. Now, this is the time when Ipswich are being tested. A little bit of panic may set in. Second Division team, having fallen foul just a couple of minutes ago of an incident in their own penalty area, now concede a free kick just outside. The position of the kick, a left-footed player maybe, right side. Bruce. Well, the half-hour point we have reached, and Manchester United lead. Well, I suppose Gary Mabbutt will be one man who'll feel sympathy for Mitch Davray, because after all, an own goal settled the FA Cup last season, and one here today has put the underdogs behind. And it's a bit spiky in there, and Remy Moses is right at the heart of it. And Atkins will have to be careful that he doesn't get drawn into something by Moses, because another offence from him and he's in big trouble. And he's anxious, I think, that the referee sees it both ways. Cranston has gone forward for Ipswich, number 6. Won by Davray, hooked in by Atkins. Dazelle is closing far side. Cranston. Actually, Trevor, fellas like Moran and Bruce, this is very much their sort of occasion, isn't it, when you've got to scrap it out back there?
Yeah, Stevie Bruce, in fact, I think was a very good signing for United, because he certainly is very courageous, very strong, and he got a great hitter in just now.
Oh, this is the, I feel, a crucial time in the match. If Ipswich crumble now, they may never get back, but if they can just keep calm, then, as we've seen before in the Cup, you never know. And Davray would love to put things right at the other end. This is Yallop. Davray, Humes. Atkins. Right side, a poor pass. Brennan. Dazelle. Well, this young man, talented lad that he is going through one of the worst personal nightmares as a goal scorer that you could possibly imagine. He hasn't scored at all this season, and if you really want to know, you have to go back a year to find his last goal, and obviously his confidence very low indeed in that position. It was a presentable chance, coming just a few minutes after going a goal behind. Ipswich still trying to continue to play their football. That's forward by Yallop. The flick was by Lowe and back by Bruce. Anderson. Rolled it forward towards Lowe. Anderson's made quite a solid start to this match at right back. Strachan. And United are trying to use the full width of the pitch. This is Colin Gibson. Duxbury. He's not so left-footed, and that got him into a bit of bother, but the return ball to Zondervan too strong. Nice conditions now. It's a cool, clear afternoon at Ipswich after a lot of rain in this area the last week. Forward. On the right side of McClare, either side of Cranston there. Good long kick John Horwath's got with his left foot. Planting the ball deep into the Manchester United half. Here's Strachan. Whiteside. Moses. Dazelle. Well, that's going to find Atkins, who was flattened by Anderson. Free kick. Can the second division side conjure something up from this position? Number 8, Brennan, has gone back several yards. Yallop is there too. Oh, it went on to Zondervan, and they never quite set themselves for that, Trevor, did they?
They're difficult positions, actually, when you find, what, about 15 yards outside the penalty area, in the middle of the goal. They're probably too far out to actually shoot, so they try and play it to the side to get a bit closer. And they certainly, the defenders usually line up on the 18-yard box, playing the offside, so it's difficult to get it out wide and get the crosses in. And really, they were caught in no man's land, not knowing what to do, and gave the ball away, really, a wasted free kick. Flick on by Whiteside, and here's Tony Humes again, battling away well there at centre-half. Yallop. Bruce. And Whiteside involved in a tussle with Dozell, which the referee is aware of. This is Cranston. And Moses and Atkins still at it there. Atkins the winner this time. Well played by Brennan. This is Harvey. Down to Lowe, with Moore at his back. Harvey again. Bruce fails for handball. Only by one Ipswich player, actually, which was Davray, but the referee was never going to give a penalty in that situation. Atkins. Nicely done by Lowe to Zondervan. Now, can he set Yallop free on this side? 3 waiting in the centre. And Frank Yallop spoils it with a poor cross, when in actual fact delivery is normally one of his better qualities. Did you fend him a little bit on that occasion? The ball just what we call pop-up as you're about to cross it. When it is a bit lumpy, because of the rain that we've had, just as he goes to cross it, it sometimes just sits up off the surface, and it's what we call a shinner, and it ended up in the crowd, and he jogged back thinking to himself, I hope they didn't notice that too much on television.
Well, there's no hiding place when it's a live FA Cup tie. There's 7 minutes left in the first half, and Manchester United lead 1-0 thanks to a somewhat fortuitous own goal by Mitch Davray. Ipswich have certainly done more of the attacking, but that's often the way of it. Harvey. Headed by Bruce. Strachan. Cranston. Now Moses. away with time to knock that down to Brennan. Now Dozzell, you'll see what I mean about Ipswich trying to play through midfield when they can. Wasn't out of play, Yallop played on correctly, and this is low. I don't think we've seen a corner yet, have we, Trevor, in this? Well, maybe we've seen one, I can't remember for certain. We don't seem to have had any corner kicks at all by either side. I find that rather strange, coming towards the end of the first half. Anyway, it's a throw-in. Cranston will take it. Dozzell taking the near-post position. And Humes arrives with the header. It was floating away. Pity for Tony Humes, actually. Not that it didn't drop in, but that somebody wasn't just coming in at the far post.
Yeah, it's a good long throw by Cranston, and it really was a header for goal rather than one across the face of the goal. And unfortunately, he headed it too well, but it was wide and not bad enough for somebody else to be able to get on the end of it.
Has shown before, Tony Humes, that when he comes up, he can plant the ball in the net from time to time, and he wasn't so far away. And it was on the chest, but play on despite the foul from behind. Ipswich had possession. Zondervan, Yallop. There's the situation then, just under 5 minutes left in the first half of this third round FA Cup tie, coming to you live from Suffolk. And Viv Anderson looking very lively for Manchester United to Strachan, two waiting in the centre. Strachan takes on Cranston, the cross is good, oh, and Yallop! Well, what happened was, Yallop got it away from Robson, but even then, it wasn't over because Whiteside was coming in at the last. Just look here, a good... Yallop had to do that, but Whiteside hooked it back and it was still in play with two players behind the net. Yallop's just coming back. He had to get the touch, otherwise I think Brian Robson might have scored.
Great bit of defending by Frankie Yallop. In fact, he got tangled up in the net, didn't he? And I think he was relieved being tangled up in the net just to see it end up gratefully in John Hallworth's arms. But a good break, and Gordon Strachan again get into the line and a good cross.
Dozzell, Zondervan. Whiteside, it was Robson who actually intercepted first. Here's McClare, and again that outlet on the right-hand side. Strachan found by McClare, who then went for the return. And Manchester United have shown some first division quality in little pockets of the half, which have been quite important. 3 minutes to go to half-time. They lead 1-0. Six is Moses, and now McClare. Anderson. Harvey. Cranston. Brennan. Dozzell making a terrific run down the middle. He collided with a defender, and Gibson put the ball out, making the referee's decision rather easier. It's definitely a corner this time, the first corner of the match. Could it be lucky for Ipswich? Brennan will take it, coming over to this side, and the men to really watch for here. Well, three of them will go up, actually, who don't normally. Atkins is there, Humes is there, and so is Cranston. Humes comes in, and tucked in. David Lowe was on the end of it, was he? Well, Humes' header, without any question at all. Tony Humes heads it, and was it touched in or not? They got a touch. Was it Atkins who got a touch there? I think Ian Atkins may have got the final one, Trevor.
I'm not sure, actually. I think it might have been one of those where you swing at it and actually miss it and confuse everyone, and it bobbles in. But really, only what Ipswich deserved. A great header by Tony Hume, and I think they do deserve to get level.
So the second division side have pulled back just before half-time. Charlie Wood's team back on terms. And we're in the last minute of the first half. Brennan forward. Well, certainly a key moment for Ipswich that, and it's brought this cup tie positively to the boil. There goes McClare for Manchester United. Zondervan defending well. Tony Hume's got the goal. It'll be interesting to see whether Ian Atkins claims he got a touch on the line. (1-1) then, and that should set things up for a brilliant second half. This is Robson. Gibson for United. Not on his best foot. Time, and a tremendous ovation for Ipswich Town as they go off, having pulled the goal back just a minute before the break. Fell behind to an unfortunate own goal, but what a good time to score just before the interval. And Manchester United, who appear to have the match in their grasp, know that they're back where they started with a half-time score of Ipswich Town 1, Manchester United 1.
Well, if the results were made on points in the game of football, on that half, without any doubt, Ipswich Town, I think, would have won the half clearly. And it looked as if they were going in 1 down, but as you saw, that very exciting equaliser set the place alight. But I think before we have a word with Bobby Robson, he's looking very pleased. He's enjoying it now. Let's have a look at the 2 goals that brightened up that first half. Oh, they're not, sorry. You'll see the 2 goals in a moment. First of all, a word from this very happy man alongside me.
Well, I mean, I will be unbiased, James, but no, I think, in all honesty, it's something that Ipswich have fully justifiably deserved. Yeah. They have had a lot of the early play and played very neat, constructive, purposeful football. They haven't been afraid, they haven't lofted the ball, and you know, the goal came at the right time. It's beautifully poised now for the second half with everything to play for.
Well, let's look at that and the Manchester United goal too. Coming up now.
And Moran. Oh, an own goal! Did that go in off Davray? I think that went in off Mitch Davray. Manchester United have taken the lead after 29 minutes. And it looked to me as though number 9, Davray, put the ball in his own net, Trevor Brooking.
Yes, well, I said he was going to be dangerous in the penalty area, but not at that end.
Humes comes in, and tucked in. David Lowe was on the end of it, was he? Well, Humes' header, without any question at all. Tony Humes heads it, and was it touched in or not? It may have been Atkins, actually, that got a touch. Was it Atkins who got a touch there?
Beautiful shot, that. Not very often you see goals go over the line at that slow speed at both ends. But what was impressive was the way in which Ipswich appeared to have done their homework and had worked out ways in which they might beat Manchester United. First of all, by beating the offside trap, which is the sort of thing you're faced with any team. But Mark Brennan really got through in a terrific position on the right-hand side of the field. Nice little chip there, floated up there, perfectly timed run. And it's interesting here, what would you do with all this time? You don't very often get it these days, but do you push it forward and go into the byline and crush it over, or do you play an early ball? On that occasion, he played the early ball when perhaps a few yards farther on might have made all that difference. But the other way, of course, in which a goal looked like coming was as a result of Mitch Davray's ability in the air. He jumps beautifully, and here was the chance that he set up there. but I think that was given offside at the end of the day, but it was very nearly another chance. The ways in which Ipswich might have scored, in fact they did score at the end, Bob, with a header, but their general players had impressed you?
Yes, very much indeed. Good in midfield, solid at the back. I mean, Cranston and Humes who's just scored, having what I would say stormers really.
Yeah.
But the lovely thing about Ipswich's goal was the corner. I mean, so many times now we play the near post corner, don't we? Yeah. Here was a situation where we
actually... Yeah, the Manchester United goal coming up.
This is the Manchester, yes. Well, this was just an unfortunate situation. I mean, I don't think Mich Devray had any chance at all. He was in there to head the ball clear. It fell short. It came through a ruck of players. It had no sight of the ball at all. It's just unluckily hit him and has been deflected in the opposite corner of the net, leaving Holworth no chance at all. Just a very unfortunate goal. Sort of goals which happen in cup-tie football, and certainly in the third round of the FA Cup.
We were working out that he was going to affect the game, but we didn't think it was going to be at that end.
Well, that's right. I mean, I thought at that time that now Manchester United would now control the game, and you know, they still have a lot to play for, obviously, and they're very much in it. But the goal, the equalising goal, actually came at just the right time. And again, I was making the point about the near post corners these days, which are so popular. But if you look at this technical strike by Brennan, a beautiful way to kick a ball, if you like, just the simple technique way of hitting and driving the ball amongst getting away from the cluster of players onto Humes' head, who really leapt high, jumped very well, and went through a cluster of players. So it was a very good header. I mean, just look at this brave header, seeing nothing but the ball. That was so, I mean, in the end of the day, I suppose he deserved that.
He deserved it, and it brought you to life.
Well...
And it brought the crowd to life, and it set up a second half that we will anticipate with some relish.
Well, I'm not here just to see Ipswich...
no, I know you're not. I know you're neutral.
But I just felt that the goal was deserving of Ipswich, and it's now put the game in a lovely position.
Well, let's go and have a word with another neutral, John Walker, who's talking to Bob Wilson.
Well, John, I reckon you must be the most frustrated footballer around, not being able to play in this.
Yeah, that's right. I was really sick. I missed it by one day, but the lads are playing very well, and I think they've got a very good chance to beat them.
There's no doubt about it. In the first half, I think Jimmy said it, if it was a boxing match on points, Ipswich are well ahead.
Yeah, as I said, they've had 3 very good chances and they've been very unlucky. Then they gave a silly goal away. It was a bit unlucky, but they've come back in it, and as I say, I fancy their chances.
You saw all the glory days here and the cup win. It's wonderful to see this atmosphere back at Portman Road.
Yeah, as I say, the atmosphere is incredible, and as I say, I just hope we can get the result today and go on from there.
Now, you had a chance of, I think, possibly going to Coventry. Why did you choose to come back to Ipswich, John?
Well, one of the main reasons was because I was here a long time. You know, I was here for 11 years, and I like the place itself, and my wife's from this area, so that was one of the main reasons.
And the ambition, as I've read in the programme, is really First Division football. Do you think Ipswich can get back there?
Yeah, I think that's where they belong, actually. They've got a good young side, and they've proved today they're as good as anybody on their day. And as I say, I think they can get to the First Division.
How much of a wrench for you was it to leave Liverpool?
Yeah, it was a big wrench. I had 4 great years there, and all the lads are tremendous lads. But to say, I had to think of my future, and I'm glad I came here.
You think they can win it in the second half, Ipswich?
I think they've got a very good chance, yeah.
You realise that you can play in the replay?
Yeah, that's right. But as I say, I might not get in of the way they're playing.
John, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, of course, the Manchester United team's got 2 of your England players in it, really, Viv Anderson and Brian Robson, who's 31 tomorrow. Doesn't time fly with a player like that? But are you happy with their performances?
Oh, yes, indeed. I thought Robson, just towards the end, might have scored. I mean, he made, again, the right telling run that he's so good at. And only some excellent defensive covering and a good touch by Yallop saved a certain goal. Good cross on the far post, the usual position that Robson really can get into and knows how to get into at the right time. But good defensive work by Yallop saved the day.
Yeah, I think it's worth a little look perhaps at the Ipswich goal again before we go back to Trevor Brookie and John Motson. But meantime, those habits that the Ipswich players have got, although they're around the age of 22, 23, just occurs to me that most of those young lads would have been here when you were here at that time as youth players. Where do they get those habits from? Is it your youth coach?
It's throughout the club. It's an education which, you know, we introduced here over the years. Discipline, good coaching, good training, good habits, you know, good practice. Practice makes perfect, but I always think good practice makes permanent. And that was the theme of the training scheme here. And players are brought up with it. It's ingrained into them so that when they come onto stages like this, we know they're not going to let us down.
I can obviously see you're emotionally affected by that, the production of young players, which is the way a manager looks at it as against the way the fans do. They'd like you to buy anybody,
of course,
wouldn't they?
yeah, and this is why George Graham and Dalglish, they're always under pressure, and Alex here, you know, at Manchester United, because the public are demanding and they want the club to buy and bring the best players all the time. That didn't worry me because I knew I didn't have the money and I couldn't go out and buy the most expensive player. It had to be on the youth policy. That was the backbone of the club. So we obviously concentrated on the type of work we should do here at the club to bring about the star player, because at the end of the day we had star players, but they were our own.
Are those young lads...
You've just seen one, John Walker.
Indeed. Are they capable of doing it in this second half, or is it just emotion you're going to live on?
No, it's not just emotion. The manager here, I think, has just taken over the situation, Johnny Duncan. He's doing very well with the youngsters. I will say they will come out here. They've got the feel of the match. They know they're not outgunned in any way. They've been as good as Manchester United, and they will relish now the next 45 minutes, because I repeat what I said.
Well, as the team
this is their best chance today.
As the team comes out there, the Ipswich side, for the exciting second half, just let's look at that goal that set Portman Road alight before half-time.
What a beautiful struck corner that was.
Hughes comes in, and tucked in. David Lowe was on the end of it, was he?
I brought him, Hughes.
Well, now's the moment to join John Motson for the second half.
As Manchester United take the field, and I think we can safely say now, Trevor, that was Tony Hume's first goal of the season, because I don't think either of those players on the line would take the credit away from him.
I don't think he'd let him anyway. If it's his first of the season, I certainly wouldn't. And it was a superb header, because he leapt very, very high, because it came a long way. Great far post header, and really now I bet they can't wait to get at Manchester United this second half. And really, Alex Ferguson will know that his side haven't really played well in that first 45 minutes. They've managed to go in all level, but really they've got to improve if they are going to stay in the hat for tomorrow's draw.
So it couldn't be better poised, could it? To see in the next 45 minutes, perhaps, who goes through to tomorrow's fourth round draw. Otherwise, a replay at Old Trafford on Wednesday. Such a busy time of year for football clubs, having to make provision for extra matches all the time. Indeed, as we speak, up at Old Trafford, they're getting ready to open the ticket office there at 4:45 today, just in case there is a replay on Wednesday. However, it may not come to that as the second half starts, and Ipswich Town, having scored at that critical psychological moment, now playing from right to left. That was Atkins, and that's an offside flag against Dabra. You mentioned Alex Ferguson. Bobby Robson did. He's in fact gone down to the bench for the second half. Long history of success in cup competitions in Scotland with Aberdeen, the Manchester United manager, and he won't want to guard at the first hurdle here. This is Strachan, who played with him, of course, up there. Here's Moses. Now Anderson. And McClare from Gibson's header. And John Hallworth tangling there with Brian Robson. Here's Brennan. Well kept in there by Frank Yallop. Low. Zondervan. Free kick. Foul by Duxbury. Well, there haven't been many shocks in the FA Cup third round. In fact, I can't think of one really, apart from Sutton's draw. And there wasn't one at Port Vale today either. They beat non-league Macclesfield 1-0 in the Potteries. So Port Vale are through to the fourth round draw tomorrow. Free kick to Ipswich. Yallop takes it. This time it's Cranston. Ian Cranston Robson this time jumping awfully well and bringing, I think we'll see here, a good save out of Chris Turner. Power in that by the post.
Good example on that, in fact, free kick of how Chris Turner does stay on his line for crosses, leaves it to the defender, and really it was sort of just beyond the 6-yard box, but it's a great save. He is a very good reaction save, and that's really how he made his name at Sunderland.
Well, he certainly prevented Ipswich there from starting the second half in precisely the way they finished the first, Chris Turner. Lowe with Moran. Dazelle offside against Lowe. David Lowe, actually the number 7 there, was a part of the Wigan team who had a very good cup run last season. They reached the 6th round before they lost to Leeds, and John Duncan made him his first signing here at Ipswich, and David's responded with 15 goals already. Robson. Moses. Anderson. It was Cranston on Whiteside. Free kick to United then. Robson takes it. Away by Cranston. That's Moses.
Unfortunately for Remy, Mose came on his left foot, and certainly even he'd agree that wasn't his strongest foot.
This is Yallop. Little push there, it seemed, by Davray on Moore, but look how quick Lowe was. Oh! Was it a penalty, or was it a free kick just outside? Chris Turner on David Lowe, and Ipswich say it was inside. The referee says outside, and I shall wait and see from this. Well, if it was on the line, then technically it's a penalty, but Brian Stevens was much closer than I was, and he's given a free kick just outside the area. And we ought to wait and just see what happens here before we examine that still further. Because Ipswich could create something from the kick without a doubt. They're not 10 yards. They're nowhere near 10 yards. No, that was not... Technically, that wasn't a good kick in more ways than one. Forward by Humes, and Ipswich lose their opportunity. McClare will break. Cranston's out of position. There are 2 to the right. Gibson and Whiteside in great positions. McClare shoots. Saved by Hallworth. McClare again. Whiteside. No. Gibson. No. And that's the drama of the cup. An incident at one end, which you haven't got time to debate before away come the opposition. In this case, Manchester United. McClare could have crossed. In fact, probably 2 players wished he had. Look at that. Came back off Hallworth. Even then, Whiteside and then Gibson both had shooting chances. Whiteside, I think, Trevor, would have liked the ball in earlier from McClare.
Yes, although he shook his head there as we saw the camera on him, and he'll know on his left foot he should have done, but he slipped as it happened, as he tried to hit it on the turn, and really Colin Gibson on his left foot as well should have tucked it away.
Meantime, the Ipswich fans are around us as we sit here almost in the crowd, are wondering whether they should have had a penalty at the other end a moment earlier. Here's Strachan. Gibson. Whiteside, and Cranston having to get in quick there. Nice little moment between the 2 as they pick each other up. Again, a match played for the most part in good spirit. 1 booking so far. Anderson. Right side. Robson with Cranston. Foul by by Robson, surely. That wouldn't have... McClare had the shot, but Robson was guilty of a foul. I do have to say, Trevor, on these free kicks just outside the box, you know, I mean, players are encroaching. They were never 10 yards when that kick was taken.
No, really, I mean, it's up to the referee in the end, but you feel they showed a little bit of inexperience, Ipswich, on a couple of occasions. We had one in the first half, and perhaps John Walker will help them in that area. By taking the free kick too early, they should wait until they get 10 yards and emphasise to the referee, look, get them back the 10 before we pass it to the side. But they've had two occasions where, in fact, Manchester United broke away and almost scored from their free kick.
Quite right. This is Anderson. Cranston. Oh, Cranston and Whiteside are now at it a little bit. Referee's aware of it. It goes out to the far side to Duxbury. Into McClare. Oh, that's a... Oh, play on, advantage. Dazell's foul. McClare, brilliantly. 3 in the centre this time for him. And he's foraging really well, is Brian McClare, showing that there's more to his game than just scoring goals. Robson. Oh, mistake by Brennan. This is Strachan. And Still. And Whiteside. And McClare. And off the post. And McClare can't believe how it didn't go in. Well, what's going to happen next? The United supporters thought for a split second there that their team were back in the lead. It happened so quickly, but in truth, Ipswich were undermanned in the penalty area, and Manchester United had 2 or 3 forwards in there. They have again. Robson cut out by Cranston. Here's Duxbury. Bruce. Forward by Yallop. That's been a familiar pattern for Ipswich. Foul. Kevin Moran coming in the back of David Lowe. Well, you wouldn't want to predict which way this cup tie is going to go now. Either side could so easily have gone ahead in the last 5 minutes. Ian Atkins continuing to drive Ipswich forward whenever the opportunity presents itself. There goes Lowe, a very willing runner at number 7. Zondervan. It's a bit long. Strachan. This was the Manchester United shot from McClare. Whiteside made the opening to start with. McClare hit it so quickly and it crashed against the left-hand post. Dazell. In by Yallop, offside against Davray. Offside this time against McClare. And this second half has opened in storming fashion. 11 minutes have gone. Ipswich Town 1, Manchester United 1. And opportunity for both sides to have edged in front since half-time. Up goes Lowe. And that was away twice, in fact, by Brian Robson. Here's Strachan. Good running from the midfield by Colin Gibson initially. Here he is. Anderson. with the challenge. Now, Manchester United will push forward Bruce and Moran for the corner. Anderson's there as well, incidentally. Awkward for Hallworth, right side, and off the line. The whistle's gone. No, hang on, the whistle's gone. That won't count. There's an Ipswich defender flattened in that melee. Graham Harvey, it may have been. And the referee had already blown well before the ball was struck finally into the net, Trevor.
Yes, I should think Graham Harvey had wished he had come earlier, because he took the tackle on about the fourth. It seemed to, I think then the whistle went for the challenge on the goalkeeper, but the players just wanted to make sure. Man United thought, well, we'll get it in the net before we decide on what's happened. But the referee, in fact, blew for the initial challenge on the goalkeeper. Always difficult when you get so many bodies in there, as to whether, you know, sometimes referees do protect goalkeepers that little bit too much, because, as you see, do you think here that also Hallworth made a very good scoop out with his left hand before he knew the free kick was going to be given? Yes. Well, at that stage, having dropped the initial cross, you think to yourself, well, I've got to rectify it. And I'm sure in the noise that's at the moment going on with the home crowd, that he probably didn't hear the whistle, and at that stage was desperately trying to keep it out of the net.
Actually, Trevor, I'm still looking forward later on to discussing that previous incident at the other end, you know, because I'm wondering if Ipswich should have had a penalty, but that's we haven't really had any moment of respite since then. That incident seems to have sparked the game off, so that there's now interest at both ends, particularly with Manchester United pressing on now. Whiteside. Offside McClare. And we can clear it up for you, actually. Well, that's what we call the freeze frame. Whether the contact was made a split second before that, you can't be sure. But from that picture, I would have thought Ipswich were unlucky.
Yeah, so probably the referee's unlucky that we could replay it like that, because they broke so quickly, and he was, what, 30 yards trying to keep up with play. But certainly on that freeze frame, it just looks as if the point of contact was on the line or just inside, which, of course, is a penalty. But a brave decision by the referee at the time.
Also, to be fair to Ipswich, John Duncan's players didn't make too much of a meal of the protest. On towards Davray. And Brennan here, but Anderson just got in. That's offside against McClare.
Stay with him!
So, the position at Portman Road, 2nd Division, Ipswich Town, after 1 hour's play, still level with Manchester United in this FA Cup third-round tie. Atkins to Harvey. Again, hooked in. Davray's there, so is Moses. It's a really good battle, this now. Wide again by Humes. Low. Yallop. Now Davray! Oh! Well, of all the players to misdirect a header there, I would never have backed Davray. That's one of his great strengths, meeting crosses. And Yallop's ball was perfection. It was wide of Anderson, and that was going towards the corner flag.
Great cross there by the right back, as you can see. Frank Yallop really swinging away from the goalkeeper, no chance of coming out for it. And Viv Anderson, perhaps by putting his foot up, might have just put Mitch Davray off as he dived in to head it, because he was well off the mark. It wasn't even close in the end.
Low. When you think about it, you know, I mean, Jason Dozzell had a good chance in the first half, which he kick completely, and then the header by Davray. Certainly Ipswich have made enough chances to be in front in this tie. On the other hand, you have to say Manchester United have hit the post, so we've seen some good cup tie action here, and there's probably a lot more to come, I would imagine. Hope you're enjoying it at home, because it's certainly an exhilarating afternoon here in Suffolk. This is Moses, and now it's Zondervan. Oh, now then, Rami Moses off the ball on David Lowe, and the referee spotted it. A booking for the Manchester United number 6, who was the player involved with Atkins earlier when Atkins was booked, but not Moses. So now they're both recipients of the yellow card. Don't think Moses can really complain about that. This is a free kick now to Ipswich. Davray has positioned himself on the far side from the kicker, marked by Anderson. In fact, 2 of them were needed. It's a corner to Ipswich. But it was a corner that produced the Ipswich goal. I wonder if Tony Humes can do the same again. Brennan, attached by Cranston. Cranston just jabbed his foot out. But you'll see that as he did so, Chris Turner was there, smothering it. Low. Dazelle, Brennan, Davray, good football by Ipswich. And Steve Bruce forced to defend hurriedly and effectively. Strachan. Leclerc. Leclerc again. And Harvey concedes the corner at the other end. And Colin Gibson has come across to take the corner. In the meantime, there's going to be a substitution and an interesting decision by Alex Ferguson. He's going to bring Remy Moses off, and I suspect that may have something to do with the fact that he's been cautioned. Jesper Olsen is the man replacing him. It's a corner to Manchester United. Moran waiting. Anderson in with the goalkeeper, and it's a goal. John Horwath was confused by Viv Anderson, and it's 2-1 to Manchester United. And Anderson's presence in the penalty area does for Manchester United what it did so often for Arsenal. Whether that went in off his head or the goalkeeper's hands, we shall probably see from this. The corner was swung in, and Anderson will probably claim the goal. If he does, it's his first for Manchester United, but John Horwath will be bitterly disappointed.
Yes, I think he got the benefit of the doubt on the first one a few minutes ago, and on that occasion it seemed to go through his hands just in front of Viv Anderson and then hit Viv's head, and what, from 2 yards it ended up in the net. But a bit of a soft goal, and a shame again for Ipswich. Just as they're getting a good spell of pressure, they concede a goal.
Within seconds, actually, of Alex Ferguson making a substitution there. Not that had any effect really on what happened later, but George Graham is in the crowd this afternoon, and many was the useful goal Viv forced in the penalty area for Arsenal last season, and he's forced one there, and now there are 1 or 2 tackles coming in which are a little reckless. In fact, there were 3 in succession there. In the end, it was Moran who went down, but Whiteside was involved, and there's still a little argument going on back there between him and 1 or 2 Ipswich players. So Anderson has put Manchester United in a winning position. No question about that. Peter Davenport is the other sub. He's just taking off his tracksuit bottoms, as you can see. And Alex Ferguson will be quite a happy man at the moment, Trevor, because that goal was, in a way, a little unexpected.
Yes, I don't think we can put it down to substitution because Jesper Olsen hadn't even touched the ball, had he? But he's in fact gone to left side of midfield just to see the tactical change. Mickey Duxbury gone into midfield and Colin Gibson gone to left back now.
Well, that will be a real bitter blow for Ipswich, and in particular for the young goalkeeper. Play on, says Brian Stevens. Anderson. And McClare chasing, and the keeper's got to be quick here. Halfway through the second half, and what a good cup tie. Ipswich 1, Manchester United 2. And Manchester United have made a double substitution effectively here, because the second change is about to take place, and when it does, Davenport is going to come on, and I see the 11 down there in Jim McGregor's hands, so Colin Gibson looks like being substituted. Olsen, McClare, oh, a little back heel by Whiteside, he got the run of the ball afterwards. Olsen. Number 14 is on, and number 12 is waiting to come on. This is Duxbury. Gibson. Olsen. Well, this is now another test of Ipswich's character and endurance and confidence. Behind once to Davre's own goal. They got back the first time. Behind again to Anderson's goal. They've got to try and get back a second time. So here goes, change number 2. And indeed, we've got an Ipswich substitution as well. Gibson is off and Davenport on for Manchester United. Dazelle is off for Ipswich, and he's going to be replaced by Mick Stockwell.
Well, Manchester United, to me, is Mickey Duxbury. He didn't stay long in midfield. He goes back to his left-back position, and of course Norman Whiteside goes back into midfield alongside Brian Robson, and Peter Davenport joins Brian McClare up front. Mickey Stockwell really comes on, plays wide right in midfield. And Mark Brennan now going to probably play a more central role alongside Ian Atkins.
Yes, you've got that absolutely right. That will mean Zondervan will take on the left side midfield role for Ipswich, who trail 2-1 with 20 minutes of the match left. Davray. And that's Duxbury. I wouldn't rule Ipswich out just yet, though, because it's been a match of several twists and turns. And people say, well, why do you show Manchester United so often? But, you know, you don't see too many bad games when they're involved, do you? There's a little bit of interest as the match develops at both ends. Here's Zondervan. Oh, well, that was late. Stevie Bruce on David Lowe. So we've got booking number 3. Just came right through the back of him, didn't he? So Davray and Cranston are waiting to close in from the far side on this free kick from Graham Harvey. It'll have to be lofted a bit for Cranston. It is, and he couldn't quite make it. Anderson, actually, I think, has had a very good match at right back, Trevor, for Manchester United. Won an important header there.
Well, he is a very good player, there's no doubt about that. Bobby Robson knows that Gary Stevens and him are vying for the right back position, have done for the last few seasons. But it's good to see him score today, because he probably hasn't been on the score sheet as often as he did in his Arsenal's days, and he is dangerous. But there, just on that occasion, we saw him getting a very good defensive header.
Every player in Bobby Robson's mind knows that the European Championship draws ever nearer. The draw is on Tuesday for the groups in West Germany. And so many players battling for positions. Here's Lowe. Now Brennan. Stockwell on his right-hand side position there, just in front of the fullback. Olsen, another of the subs, playing on the left for Manchester United. And there's Davenport, the third substitute. Now Cranston to ward off McClare. In fact, the only substitute now not used is Ipswich's Nigel Gleghorn, who's a left-sided midfield player. Zondervan, this is David Lowe, and there are three on the far side. Cut back well, and the spectacular overhead by Brennan. Offside, offside. The tangle on the edge of the area, and often it's taken two players to combat Davray. That was Moran and Anderson in contention with him. And Viv Anderson, Cranston. Mickey Stockwell on the far side, just testing out Duxbury a bit. Fresh pair of legs for Ipswich on that flank. I would have thought that might have been a touch of obstruction. Free kick, is it? Linesman certainly thinks so. Whiteside is protesting, quite forcibly. To no avail. Decision's been taken. And Mark Brennan will be hoping that from this free kick he can pick out one of a row of Ipswich players waiting to come in. Humes, Atkins. Plenty of bodies in the way. Throw to Ipswich. Harvey. Zondervan. Harvey again. Wilson. Cranston. Oh, it's a good ball. Zondervan. Three waiting in the middle. Brennan. Good effort. Saved by Turner. Duxbury away for the corner. Good effort by Mark Brennan. Ipswich making a tremendous fight of it. Again, they line up at the back of the penalty area. Four of them in all to come in on this. Humes couldn't reach this one. Whiteside. Oh, that's a good little touch by Norman Whiteside. It's released McClare. Three others are up. One of them is Strachan. It was Cranston's challenge, and suddenly it goes the other way. Meantime, Tony Humes is lying injured in the Manchester United penalty area, and technically he's in an offside position. Don't quite know what Ipswich or the referee are going to do about that, because play's going on. This is Zondervan. He's not interfering with play while he's lying there. He's got to let it go, surely. Goal kick anyway, gets the referee out of a tight corner. And Tony Humes is the injured player. Now, I'm just wondering, Trevor, to be absolutely fair to Brian Stevens, the referee, when we last saw that disputed penalty incident, we did see a freeze frame. Just seeing it again at normal speed, or rather running it from when it first started, where do you think the goalkeeper caught David Lowe here? Let's just let it run. It's inside, isn't it?
Yes, that seeing it run through rather than the freeze throw certainly conclusively suggests it was inside, yes. I must say, when I was sitting here, having seen the incident during the game, I thought to myself, it's just outside the area. And that's obviously what Ryan Stevens thought at the time. But certainly, that one was inside. I think they'll be arguing in Suffolk for that for a while.
Yeah, we're not trying in any way to pillory the referee, I must just say that, because people sometimes think we do replay things to try and prove them wrong. They're usually right, we know that, and at that speed, he certainly had to make the decision as he saw it. Here's Zondervan. But it's all part of the talking point which surrounds a cup tie, and it's good, healthy argument that nobody should really mind. That's his Brennan. It's a good, healthy match too, for that matter. That's Anderson hoisting it forward. McClare. And Atkins. Now, can Ipswich still save it? Low to his right, and that's a foul by Bruce, who must be careful. He's been booked. And if Brian Stevens hadn't used the referee's prerogative of common sense, then Steve Bruce, on another day, might have found himself in big trouble. As it is, it's a free kick. Atkins trying to tuck it into Low. Stockwell, who's come on the right-hand side, has forced Duxbury to kick the ball high into the upper tier. Cranston with the throw. Humes in there again. And Olsen to Davenport, for whom this is quite a lucky ground, number 12. But not able to quite release Jesper Olsen there. And one Ipswich player just goes and has a chat with the crowd before resuming this very hectic cup tie. It was Graham Harvey, in fact. Lowe's header on. Side. Oh, mistake by Yallop. Now this is Davenport up against Humes. Who gets the ball away. Well, Tony Humes, whose header just before half-time had a lot to do with the way this cup tie rose to considerable heights, especially at one spell early in the second half. Olsen for Manchester United. That's broken nicely for Romeo Zondervan. Tangling with Robson. Strachan. David Lowe is up. And Robson to Anderson. Oof, well played Anderson again there. It was a bit tight. Harvey. And there's some strenuous performances out there on both sides in heavy conditions. And Ipswich have not given this up by a long way. They have 9 minutes to save this FA Cup third round tie. Manchester United lead 2-1. Davenport to Olsen. Olsen. Olsen again. Zondervan. had quite an influential match at times, Zondervan. He's seen plenty of the ball and been prepared to carry it in quite heavy areas of the pitch. Rolls it through to Brennan. Oh, that's not a bad ball either. Stockwell on the far side, two waiting in the middle. Yallop with the cross, offside against Davray. Well, what do you make of it all, Trevor?
Well, it's still in the balance, isn't it? I still wouldn't like to say that Manchester United are going to hold on. They've consolidated very well. We mentioned Viv Anderson playing well, but Steve Bruce has looked very solid and won a lot of important balls against Mitch Davray. The longer the game was worn on, obviously Davray getting a bit tired as well, but he certainly looks an excellent signing for Manchester United, particularly with Paul McGrath out with these knee problems.
Manchester United hoping to approach Wembley via one of two routes. They're still in the Littlewoods Cup quarter-final to be played away to Oxford United. Ipswich Town with ambitions still of promotion from the second division in manager John Duncan's first season here. 7 minutes left, 2-1 to the first division side. Robson to Strachan. McClare, Olsen! Oh, didn't quite get the touch, and John Horwath kept his eye on the ball and possibly kept Ipswich in the match at that point, but Stockwell has rather given that away to Duxbury. Here's Strachan. McClare's free on our side. Olsen, Strachan. And that'll be a goal kick. Just see how McClare drifted that little ball into the near post. A wicked ball, really, but Horwath kept his eye on it. Be a shame for him in a way if this match should be decided by that Anderson goal, for which I suppose he has to take responsibility. Mind you, John Duncan there, who has done such a steady job here in his first year, will be hoping that even now his second division team can salvage a replay out of this. Brennan and Whiteside tangling in midfield. Olsen with Yallop. And Olsen with Davenport making a run. And still holding on, Davenport, but not getting it across to Gordon Strachan and Graham Harvey for Ipswich. Oh, mistake first by Zondervan, then by Brian Robson. And finally it comes to Humes. And that's asking a bit much of Stockwell.
Mentioned a mistake by Brian Robson there, but I think the last 10 minutes he's made, what, 4 or 5 very important tackles, which I think Bobby Robson was mentioning at half-time, and that is an important part of his game, you know, especially at this stage of the game. There he is having a little breather, but he has had 3 or 4 blockbusters and showing that he is really back to his full fitness. And I think with the European Championships coming up, there's such a good future, you know, for the England national team in the next few months. It's good to see him playing so strongly and not worrying about injury problems.
Well, I think we'd all endorse that. There are less than 5 minutes to go in this FA Cup third round tie now. Manchester United still have the edge as Whiteside is flattened by Brennan, and I have a feeling Ipswich are going to use their second substitute. Well, they were. Yes, they are. Just been watching the bench down there, and they want Zondervan off, actually. And I don't know whether the referee wants to do... well, he's going to take the free kick first. McClare, Olsen. Now they can make the change. Zondervan off. Could be his last season here at Portman Road, actually. And on goes Nigel Gleghorn, for whom it's been quite a big week, the Ipswich number 14. He became a father just a few days ago. And he's going to have about 3 minutes to make a contribution to this cup tie. There he is, left-sided player, number 14. And in the action at once, foul by Anderson, free kick. So Gleghorn makes an immediate impact there. Davray, Cranston and Humes poised to come in from the far side. Humes has made the first run. This is Yallop lobbing it back in. Gleghorn heading it back in. Leclerc, Davenport. Whiteside's made a run to the left. Was well found. Leclerc's made a sprint through the inside left position, also well found. Whiteside and Humes, but Davenport was quicker. Not the second time. Davenport, a scorer of a hat-trick on this ground in his Forest days. It's the red of Manchester United that have the edge in this FA Cup tie, with a couple of minutes to go. Whiteside, down to the line, forces the corner. All the goals have come from set plays, corners or free kicks. Here's Olsen. Strachan, nice little turn. Gleghorn gets a foot in. Taken short to Whiteside. Oof. John Horwath, I think, turned that round the post, and if I'm right, it was a very good save from Norman Whiteside. Corner to Manchester United. We're moving into the last minute. Strachan, Olsen, Duxbury, well wide. Just thinking about possibly that last incident there. Norman Whiteside fired it, and it was a good tip round by John Horwath. United fans anxious now to hear the final whistle here. Winners of the Cup, remember, in 1983 and 1985, Manchester United. So they'll be looking for perhaps the third visit to Wembley in this competition in 6 seasons. And it does seem to be a third round unusually devoid of surprise results this year. We've entered stoppage time, and Jesper Olsen has the ball for Manchester United and forces a corner off Ian Cranston. Kevin Moran has been limping, but he can't really go off because they've used both substitutes. Here is Strachan looking for Davenport. Stockwell came across. Whiteside. Harvey. Oh, it's a bit of a mistake. This is Strachan. Davenport. Olsen. Strachan. Oh, Davenport pulled it back, and it ran behind everybody, including McClare. Sprinting down the left is Duxbury. Well into stoppage time now. Whiteside for Manchester United. Stopped well. That was well played, actually, by David Lowe, but it's too late. It's too late. Brian Stevens brings this FA Cup third-round tie to a close, to the delight of the Manchester United following, for whom Viv Anderson scored his first goal for the club following his transfer last summer, and what an important goal it proved to be. Good enough to win this exciting, stimulating third-round cup tie, with plenty of things to discuss afterwards. John Horwath just shaking hands there after Ipswich had pulled their way back into the tie following an unfortunate own goal. It was Anderson who, from that corner, after 66 minutes, scored the goal that takes Manchester United into the fourth round, along with the rest of the heavyweights. Ipswich certainly did themselves justice, but on the day, it wasn't quite enough.